Guys, Mashele is back again, and this time he's actually wondering how the economic freedom fighters, EFF, who are supposed to be fighting for economic freedom, somehow collapsed economically province he calls Limpopo. And you know, for me, I'm really just understanding all of these things from the outside of South Africa. But one thing I know is that the EFF and Julius Malema are really popular outside of South Africa. And so this is one of the reasons why the moment I started studying South Africa on this channel, many things started to really become clear to me with the whole kind of like battles the EFF has to fight within South Africa, but yet believed outside of South Africa to be a savior of the continent, and also the epiphany, or so to speak, the agency to bring the One Africa mantra, you see. And so in this video here, Prince Mashele is really tearing into the EFF, you know, with facts and logic. And I really don't know, you know, how these things work. But, you know, the more I try to really understand South Africa going forward, the EFF, ANC and all that, these things come to the fore. In this video, he's actually arguing how you know, he studied the Nazi party for, you know, a long time. And he actually argues that the way the Nazis organized themselves in Germany in the 1930s, there about 40, you know, 39 to 45, when we had the Second World War, that's a similar kind of like pattern he sees with the EFF, all right? So it's almost as if the EFF is playing a script that has actually been written. He also actually argues also that, you know, the Nazis were very consistent in a color, which was brown. And the EFF actually borrowed from that concept and actually now are kind of like wearing red. This is out from Prince Mashele. He actually argues that, you know, many EFF, as you could hear in the you know, clip, he argues that many EFF leaders are actually really corrupt, and that, you know, the EFF is actually a vehicle to amass wealth, just like as he argues also for the ANC, and that, you know, we actually should expect more people to leave the EFF, and that the EFF is actually in a way really finished. And this is in line with the fact of the same thing Rob Hersov argues. I'll be making some videos on that. Rob Hersov also had an interview with Sizwe Mpofu-Welsh, where he actually argued that the EFF is not coming back, and how probably that would happen, we don't really know. But these are people who have actually kind of like studied the way things are going. And also with Trump now kind of like really challenging the whole world, Rob Hersov argues that Trump has set the whole world on fire, and this is a fire for kind of like revolutionary change to things, the end to wokeism. We could see how J.D. Vance the Vice President J.D. Vance of US was actually in a way touching you know, European leaders with what many people call an ice shower speech, where, you know, he actually blamed the US and really blamed the EU leaders in a way that, you know, the EU has actually been in a way silencing its citizens and really fighting free speech. We see that the EU is actually, you know, kind of like in a frenzy there, because it appears that Trump is giving a vibe that the support that Biden's administration gave to Ukraine wouldn't be continuing anymore, and it's just causing a whole lot of mess. There's also with Elon Musk calling for Julius Malema to be kind of like ascertained as an international criminal because of the video that went viral, where he was actually, you know, singing with the crowd in the, you know, the whole Kill the Boer song and all that. I think I saw a video on the EFF's page on Facebook, where the EFF, Julius Malema, was actually trying to show himself present in an auction with white people and trying to show that, you know, he's not an enemy of white people. He actually made a speech over the weekend at the church, where he was actually arguing that, you know, we have to start getting closer to God, because he also is a, you know, a Christian, so to speak. And so we see these variations of things going on because of the Trump factor. And so a lot of issues now kind of like being raised, and Prince Mashele is actually really on this one, really arguing with really facts and, you know, arguments academically, as you know he always does, how the EFF and why the EFF would not be coming back to kind of like the popularity it was, you know, when, you know, it was at its prime. But let's quickly listen to Prince Mashele break down these issues on why he thinks Julius Malema and the EFF, according to him, are history sort of in South Africa's politics. And really, really intense interview. Share your thoughts in the comments.
Yeah, you see, let's be detailed in analyzing the EFF and what made me to be skeptical from the beginning, because I was skeptical of the EFF from day one.
Day one.
Yeah, I was skeptical.
Yeah, I think we were on the radio once together, right at the beginning.
Yeah, with Julius and I. Yeah. And by the way, I'm probably the only analyst who was banned by the EFF. They announced it on radio. I remember Mbuiseni, by the way.
Okay.
He's eating his own boots now. He was once on radio saying that no leader of the EFF will debate with Prince Mashele. What was the crime I committed at the time? That's Mbuiseni saying it. That I didn't respect the leadership of the ANC. So, sorry, the EFF. So that's the crime I committed. That's Mbuiseni, by the way. Was very angry with me at the time. Today, the chap is fighting for his life. But park that. Why was I skeptical of the EFF? One, from the beginning, I didn't buy this propaganda that the EFF was a force of the left. I didn't. Why did I not buy it? I did not buy it because I looked at the lifestyles of the leaders of the EFF before they formed the EFF and after they formed the EFF. Go to history and observe the personal lives of true Marxist leaders like Fidel Castro, even Mao Zedong, or even Lenin, Fanon, all of them. You will never find such leaders who lived the way Julius and Floyd lived before they formed the EFF. These fellows lived like billionaires. They were part of the corrupt elements of the ANC. And in fact, Julius, as a leader of the Youth League at the time in various positions, he made history. He collapsed a province economically called Limpopo. They looted the coffers of Limpopo with Castle Matale was premier at the time, to the extent that the national leadership of the party at the time of the ANC took a decision to go and take over Limpopo because it had collapsed financially. Now, you can't tell me such a person is a Marxist revolutionary. Lenin didn't do that. Castro didn't do that. So, that was before they formed the EFF. Even after they formed the EFF, by the way, just go and study and look at their lifestyles. They continued the same thing. So I saw through this propaganda that these chaps are about using the EFF as a vehicle to amass wealth and live like billionaires. So I understood that. That's why I said these people, forget about them. Secondly, they copied a script from Hitler. And I said it, by the way. And when I said it, obviously at the time I was dismissed. But I said it because I had studied the Nazi regime and how the Nazi regime rose to power and what the Nazi regime did when they were in power. Obviously, the EFF was never in power. But let me tell you, study the EFF, the way they organize themselves. You will see serious similarities with the Nazi regime, including ideologically, by the way. They told us that they were a Marxist, Leninist organization, but actually they were not. They were a national socialist party. National in the sense that they were very clear that they were a party of black people, representing black interests. They were very clear. A Marxist-Leninist party will never say that. Because Marx and Lenin were anti-nationalist. Clearly anti-nationalist. You will never find the writings of Marx that praise nationalism. So I saw that. So even their political tactics, the stormtroopers causing chaos in parliament, all of that. The only difference is that the EFF wore red and the Nazis wore brown. But the whole theatrics and the hero worship of the leader, it was there. So I said, oh, whoa. These fellows, I'm dismissing them. They're not what they're telling us to be what they are. And secondly, they are not going to lead South Africa. And of course, I was dismissed. The rest is history. Now, look at where they are. Julius fancies himself a political strategist. I've heard him and say, I'm a good strategist and all of that. It's nonsense. The chap is ignorant of political strategy. Let me tell you, when you form a political party and you want this political party to have longevity and eventually to capture power, and you want this political party to cohere, never allow the original core that formed it to disintegrate. Julius doesn't know this rule. He has allowed the original core that formed the EFF to disintegrate. Once that happens, you must know the party is finished. This element, by the way, you go to other political parties, even in the ANC, obviously, those who formed the ANC in 1912 are no more. But those who have been guardians of the party, at some point, the older generation fell apart, right? From 2007, that all fell apart and then the whole thing scattered in different directions. You can go look at all these organizations and apply this principle. You will see. COP, same story. Those who formed it originally disintegrated. And what happened to the party? History. The EFF is history because this basic principle, Julius is not aware of it. Yeah. Fact that Floyd is gone, Moiseni is exiting, your father, Dali, is gone. Let me tell you, Julius Malema will remain holding feathers. The bird has long flown away. He doesn't understand that. So those who think that the EFF has a future, they don't understand political strategy. They're just dreaming. And what I know is that if I'm still alive, they will come back and say you were correct.